The garden has officially exploded this week, which means it's time for another Every Bit Counts challenge week. We're making the most of this harvest by enjoying fresh meals, preserving what we can't eat right away, and adapting when things don't go as planned. The goal of this challenge is simple: waste less, save more, and make the most of what God has provided us, because every little bit does count in the end. Hi, friend, and welcome back to my small little homestead in Northern California. If you're new here, my name is Sarah. I'm a mom of 5 and also a registered nurse. And our garden has really exploded. And like I had said on our last week's video, I went ahead and started Three Rivers Challenges Every Bit Counts challenge early because of that. We definitely live in different zones, so I felt it was appropriate to start ours just a tad bit early. And I'm glad that I did because I have been so busy. Last video, I showed you just how many tomatoes I had coming in, and they're just not stopping. So my am continuing to throw those into the freezers. We're having a lot of bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches, which I will show you later on in this video. So 1, 2, 3, 2 San Marzanos, and I think the Homestead one did not fare well. Right here in the middle of the line. So I'm curious. Any hypothesis for anybody? This back corner bed is always so severely neglected. So these poor little onions, they bulbed up a little bit, but they definitely were very shallow growing, and that's my fault. I don't think I tilled it very well, but I'm still going to utilize these in a couple different ways that I will show you later on in this video, and I am still very happy with the results. This is just more of the tomatoes that are going into the freezer and some more peppers. I will be doing these a couple different ways today. I did show you last week how I did them. I put them into the freezer for most of them after separating between the hot and sweet peppers. And I put the cayenne peppers again back onto the dehydrator to save for another day, usually with my elderberry syrups. On this day, I wanted to make, like I had mentioned, some bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches. So I just made some homemade mayonnaise, and I am utilizing some leftover hamburger buns that I had made the night before instead of making a whole new batch of bread. That's just something I'm going to be doing all the time, is just utilizing what I already have on hand. I don't care if it was just tortillas or if I was utilizing any of the hot dog buns that were left over. I want to always try and use absolutely every little bit that we have here because we are a larger family, and with that does come higher food costs. I can only imagine what it's going to be like when I have 3 teenage boys. If you have gone through that or are going through that, please leave me some advice in the comments below of what to expect, because my husband just laughs and says that I'm really in for it. One of my favorite ways to make bacon is on parchment paper like this and in the oven. Let me know in the comments what your guys' favorite way is, because I am getting conflicting things from my kids. They like me to do it on the stove because it's quicker to them, and I still like it in the oven because it is more hands off. Let me know what you guys prefer. So this garlic here, I had pulled over a month ago, and I showed you when I had done that. And the reason that it's out here on the table at the back of the house is because this was the only place we could really put it. And you saw I had a pink sheet over it so that the sun wouldn't damage it. And I am finally getting around to cutting the stems and the roots off and putting them in this little wicker basket that we got a few years ago for things like root vegetables like onions and garlic. And it worked out really well. So just utilize the space that you have. These shishito peppers, I have heard for years of how much other people like to blister them. And so that is what I'm doing for the first time here. I am just using some avocado oil on some really high heat, hot cast iron skillet to blister them. And let me just say, These were absolutely delicious. I am going to be growing more than just 2 plants next time because me, my husband, and all my children absolutely love this. I do end up making a garlic aioli sauce with it, and it's super simple. I just used up the rest of the mayonnaise that I had made earlier that day for the sandwiches, and because this was a more liquidy mayonnaise, I only added a little bit of the lemon juice instead of the full amount that the recipe called for. I will link the recipe in the description box below for you if you are interested in it. But let me just say, this was absolutely delicious. If you haven't done this yet, I highly recommend you do. And you'll notice I have green ones and red ones. They both taste delicious. So like I had mentioned earlier, I am doing another round of my cayenne peppers on the dehydrator. This is definitely my preferred way for those. And the onions that I had brought in the day before that you saw me harvesting are super, super dirty. So I am cutting them and getting the stems off and the roots off, and I'm peeling the outside layer as best I can. I do end up running them in the water behind me because there's just so much dirt coming in. I haven't even gotten that much done. I'm washing these ones because they're just so dirty when they come out. So I'm a good amount done. I'm gonna see how much I get. But as you can see, it got really dirty from this since I just pulled them out of the ground yesterday without washing them. So it is what it is. I'll have to clean all of this and then I will chop these up for the pickling and fermentation. So I do start by putting all of these chopped onions into this ginormous jar here because I had anticipated making a really big batch of fermented onions, but I end up wanting to actually can all of it and move it into pint jars. I feel like I'm dying.
I don't know. I can't cry when I cut onions.
Oh, these onions. I have to take a break because they're killing me. Absolutely. I'm so sensitive sometimes. Now that I have stopped crying, man, that was so bad. I am horrible. That happened to me on Thanksgiving at my sister-in-law's house when I was chopping onions too. It just happens every so often. And yeah, anyways, so I decided to pickle the rest of these onions. And so I am starting a pickling brine from the Ball canning book. I am omitting the mustard seeds and such. I am just doing the vinegar and sugar for this. And the reasoning is I don't recall having enough of the flavorings to do it. So I just figured it doesn't affect the safety of it. So why not just do this? So while the brine is warming up and mixing on the stovetop, I'm going to go ahead and start a quick fermenting brine, which is just water and salt. And I will link the book that I am using for this in the description below as well. I highly recommend it. It's super, super helpful and informational and so many different recipes outside of just generic fermenting like this. For this time, I did add 2 cloves of garlic to give it a little bit extra flavoring. And I should say that I am not someone who has really been a big onion fan. This is me trying new things and new ways to incorporate good nutrition into my diet, let alone good gut biome by doing a fermentation. I definitely am I guess you would call me millennial. I feel like more like a Gen Xer. We can have that conversation. But I grew up on SpaghettiOs, frozen burritos, all the things. So yeah, this is me as an adult trying to correct my own bad habits and making sure that my children grow up with good habits and good understanding of nutrition so that they can hopefully make better decisions for themselves and their families later on in life. I am making sure that everything has adequate headspace per the directions and just wiping down the rims of the jars to make sure that there's no cracks or breaks or anything like that. And I did wash the lids and everything before putting them on. And I figured I would try my steam canner that I have not tried to use in years, and I found it in the garage. And then I remembered why we hadn't used it, because it doesn't work. So after like 30 minutes of never getting to temperature, I brought out my tried and true water bath canner and just went ahead and did that. So while that is coming to temperature and getting going, I am starting our first batch of ice cream. I did get this ice cream maker because I am really tired of the really expensive quality ice cream, or you get the frozen treat non-ice cream. And so I want to start playing around with recipes. This is just a basic vanilla recipe that came with the machine. When I wanted to do this, I didn't realize that I had actually had to freeze the insert of it, so it took me a little bit longer to get this ready than doing it on this day. The kids have really been jonesing for it, but it all came out just fine, just as these super cooked onions did, since I had to cook them twice essentially. And with the ice cream, I thought it was done. It was a decent texture, but it had gone for over 30 minutes, and per the instructions, that was what the cutoff point was about 35 minutes. But as I'm pulling it out, I'm noticing it's still pretty runny. So I was hoping that by putting it into the freezer in these wonderful containers, that it would harden up a little bit, and it didn't. It still tasted absolutely delicious. We absolutely love this ice cream, but I think next time I'm just going to go with my gut and let it go for probably 45 minutes or so instead of the aforementioned 35 minutes. So like I mentioned, I'm not a big onion person. I'm doing this to try it out and to utilize everything and not let it go to waste. So let me know in the comments what your favorite way to use pickled onions are, or fermented onions, anything like that, to help me have a good idea besides burgers and salads maybe. And this was dinner that night. I just took some of those poblano peppers and blistered them up on the stove with the sausage and served it with the garlic aioli and some pasta, and that was delicious. I am absolutely loving this harvest this year and am so thankful for the garden providing such wonderful, delicious produce for my family. And I finally did get around to those green beans. They were starting to shrivel just a little bit on some of them. So I was picking off the ends. These really didn't need to be snapped, but I was snapping them in half to make it easier for the canning process. I did can the entire first batch of green beans, but that is because we have so many other veggies coming in that I wanted to eat. I am going to do a succession planting shortly. Currently, my back has been out, so it's been really hard to be in the garden. But I am going to get one more round of green beans from the current plants, so I'm not too terribly troubled by the timing. We do have a very long growing season. I could probably get several more harvests before the year is up. I need to also succession plant more cucumbers and squashes and things along those lines. And soon I will be planting my fall garden. We do have heat waves all through September, so I'm not exactly sure yet when I plan to do that, but I will bring you along with the planning and the process when it happens. I hope this week's Every Bit Counts challenge gave you a few ideas for making the most of your own harvest, whether you're preserving food, cooking fresh meals, or simply using what you already have. Remember, you don't have to do everything at once. Every small step adds up, and every little bit really does count. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd love to have you subscribe and join our community. I'll be back every Monday with budget-friendly homemaking and from-scratch cooking, and every Friday this month with another Every Bit Counts challenge video. Bye, friends.